Hi everybody, welcome to Home and Haven Farms. My name is Brittany, and in our last two videos, my husband Brian took you guys along during the smoking process of some of our ham and bacon. Today we are taking you guys along for the next step of the process, which is slicing and packaging the meat and product for later. Today we are going to be discussing 5 things that you need to slice and package your own meat at home. Alright, so before Brian and I get processing and slicing and packaging everything, we wanted to go over those 5 things that you need to package and slice your own meat at home. Okay, so one of the first things that you will need when slicing and packaging your own meat is a slicer. You can do this by hand, but it's much more efficient to just go ahead and break down and get a tool if you have a lot of product. Commercial slicers are much larger, but we were able to get this one for $80 on Amazon. The second and third thing that you guys are going to need to package your guys' meat at home would be some vacuum seal bags and a vacuum sealer. This one is a really wonderful vacuum sealer, but you can get much more affordable or even smaller and more compact vacuum sealers online. And I guess I should also say, make sure that you have the right size bags for the cuts that you guys are going to be packaging. If you're going to be packaging ribs, like pork ribs, you're going to need a longer and larger bag than you would if you were processing or packaging a pound of ground beef or stew meat or something like that. The fourth and fifth thing that you guys are going to need to package your own products at home will be a scale and labels. You probably could skip this process if you were on a very tight budget, but it's worth investing in if you're going to be doing a lot of your own processing at home. So those are our 5 points and things that you guys need to do your own packaging at home.
Okay everyone, so what we're looking at here are some of the chunks of loins off that big 700-pound gilt that we had taken in. So I took these, each loin was about 20 to 25 pounds, so it was a good amount, and then I cut each of those into thirds. So I have 6 pieces. I've got 4 of them in here now. But we just like to take these, and after they get smoked, we like to trim the fat off them because it works a little better on the slicer. And then from there, we'll take them over to the slicer. My lovely babe will get them cut up. She's real good at that. And then we'll package them in roughly like anywhere from we try to shoot for around a 1 pound pack, but sometimes we get up to like 1.5 pounds or a little bit less, give or take, just depending on the slices. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and then later on we'll get into some of the cuts of the Arkansas bacon that we'll be doing.
Alrighty, so the rest of this video, Brian and I are just going to be working to slice up and package all of the pork loins and Arkansas bacon. So today we're going to be slicing up Arkansas bacon and loin bacon from the pork loins of the pig.
From the loins, and the Arkansas bacon comes from the shoulders.
That's right. And so the Arkansas bacon comes from the shoulders. Alrighty. So with our slicer, I'm going to go ahead. Usually the butts of any meat is not perfectly even. So the very first cut, I usually will do a pretty thick cut and square it off. Brian and I, we also keep our butts in one pile, and we save those for later for different meals like ham and beans or even dog treats. And then after that, we'll just be doing our bacon cut slices and probably packaging it up into pounds or a little bit heavier than a pound packages. Okay. right, you guys, so this is our loin bacon. It's what we are calling loin bacon. We have done a thicker bacon cut slice for this, and we took it from the pork loin instead of doing a pork loin roast. We ended up, I guess, let me see if this will, is it on my face, babe?
Yes.
Thanks, love.
Your hand's covering up half of it, though.
Pathetic. I forgot the point that I was going to make next. So, we really fell in love with Arkansas bacon when we got our first she was a sow, right, babe?
Yes.
When we got our first sow processed, we didn't process her ourselves, and they asked us if we wanted Arkansas bacon. And Arkansas bacon is basically ham that is sliced, it's aged, cured, and sliced like bacon, but it comes from the shoulder.
The shoulder butt.
The shoulder, instead of the typical pork belly. So we figured that if you could do Arkansas bacon and do a bacon-like product from another part of the pig, we figured that we wanted to give that a try with other parts of the pig too. We do a pork tenderloin from time to time. We do like that. But as far as a pork loin goes, we're not huge roast people. Or pork chop. Yeah, we were actually vegan at one point on our journey. So even though we eat meat, we tend to eat it in maybe smaller amounts than most people. So instead of doing a roast or, just a roast, instead we are doing what we are calling loin bacon. So Bryan has actually aged and cured this just like we did our bacon, and as you can see, it's looking pretty good. And I sliced it thick enough to where if you cook it like bacon in a pan, it should reduce down to about the size of a regular piece of bacon. So that should be extra delicious. And Bryan also made the point and reminded me that because we smoked this to the degrees that we did, this is actually ready to go. So Bryan made that wonderful point in the videos that he did that we really need convenient food, and we want high quality convenient food. And so we have really kind of set ourselves up to have grab and go packages. This stuff should be shelf stable after we vacuum seal it too. And we could, as long as we store it in a cool, dark place, kind of like a root cellar or a basement, it should be fine. But we're going to go ahead and just freeze everything for until we're ready for it. So we're going to carry on with our packaging now, and we'll show you guys some more clips along the way. After the meat leaves the slicer, Bryan brings it over here to the scale where he places it in the packaging for the vac sealer. And this is where the magic happens. Boom. And now it looks beautiful, and Bryan usually labels it from here. I also wanted to mention that Babe does a wonderful job at keeping track of all of the meat and things that we get. So he has what we are, you know, what cut of meat we are doing, and then the pounds. Ooh, there we go. And then sometimes we get as many as, you know, that many packages, so he numbers them all. But he does a really good job at labeling everything, and this really helps us to keep track of how much meat are we processing, you know, and how much are we getting at the very end. And so it's just like taking inventory. I thought it was worth noting and mentioning. Yes.
Okay, we just wanted to give you guys an example of what this looks like when it's all done and packed up. So this is some of our loin bacon. So this comes from the loin, and if you don't know, the loin on a pig comes from along the back. This is usually what people make, either like loin roast, or they'll make pork chops, those type of cuts from it. But we just cure it the exact same way we do our other bacon, and then smoke it in the same process and slice it up. And I don't know if you'll be able to see on the film, but if you actually look in the meat, if you're doing this yourself, when you get done with it, you'll want to be able to see that as you turn the meat, it'll glisten in the light, and you'll kind of see the cure. It will go all the way through. And when you see that kind of almost like a metallic or a shine on the meat, that lets you know your cure is permeated all the way through the meat completely. And these were bigger cuts. Normally I let them soak for a week. This one we actually ended up letting sit for 2 weeks, just because it was larger, and that's kind of what my schedule called for. So ends up looking, just like regular bacon. Very good stuff. And if you're a person that you like the flavor of bacon, but you don't like how fatty traditional bacon is, Arkansas bacon or loin bacon is a product you'll definitely enjoy much more, because you still get that same wonderful flavor, but with much more meat and a lot less fat.
All right, you guys, we are maybe just under halfway through processing everything. We have our pile of butts, our little, I don't know, ham bits, the smaller bits, basically, that fly off from the slicer. I have actually entertained the idea of dehydrating those and making something like homemade bacon bits or something. But this is a first-time experiment that we're doing that we have called bacon chops. So in the clip just ahead of this one, we discussed how we were turning the pork loin, into loin bacon. Well, another cut that we were wanting to explore were bacon chops. So it's essentially just like a pork chop, except that it was aged and cured, just like bacon. We did trim off some of the excess fat, and we experimented with a thicker cut here. I don't know, maybe just over a ½ inch. And then a thinner cut here. So yeah, we are very impressed with how that looks. We're not huge pork chop people, but we are very, very excited to try these. We have been working for just under 3 hours now, and we are moving on to the Arkansas bacon. So it has sliced up very, very beautifully. It was super juicy and messy. You could still see some of the coloring that is mostly from the smoke and the fat. A lot of those juices get trapped in between the little crevices inside, and when you slice them open, there's no avoiding the mess. So this is our pile of scraps so far, but I think that Babe said that we have about 12 of these to slice, and this was just one of them. So we still have 11 more to go. So while this is scrap material, it's still absolutely usable. We're going to cube a lot of this stuff up. I had mentioned in one of our clips that I'm thinking about doing bacon bits with these sometime. And then they're also good for things like dog treats. So we are just about through after the Arkansas bacon, and we will give you guys a closing update on how everything went.
Okay, everyone, so this is the loins from that pig that we've been working on, all processed up into different cuts. So we did 3 different types of cuts. We did the what we call the smoked loin bacon, and then got a couple rows of that. Then these are smoked bacon chops. So this is like a boneless pork chop, but it's also been through a dry cure process with brown sugar and salt, and then also smoked with a 4-way hardwood blend. So the exact same cure and smoking process that we use on our bacon. We just did this. So the only difference between these is from the same cut of the pig. So this is to show you how you can kind of get different products from the same cut. So this is, you know, a loin sliced up, you know, thin. I think we probably used anywhere from like a 3 to a 5 on our slicer. These are the smoked bacon chops. I think Britt said these were at a 14. And the nice thing about using a slicer for your chops when it's all smoked is they literally come out like perfectly even. They look really nice when they're done. And then we also took one of the loins and we cut it up into smoked bacon loin roast. So, you know, the same thing that you could turn and you could slice it up. You know, you could turn it into chops, you could turn it into slices, but we just left some as like little 1.5 pound roast for being able to throw in the crock pot. And then it already has like that really good like cured and smoked flavor to it, just like bacon would. Really good stuff for like ham and beans, that type of stuff. This is some of the extra like lard and stuff that we trim off it because it, you know, the lard doesn't go through the slicer as much, the fat. But we leave it on there for the smoking because it adds flavor to the meat. And then when we just trim it off, I save that stuff for like dog treats and stuff, and the dogs just absolutely love it. So there's a quick little video to show you guys, you know, some of the different cuts that you can get out of the loins off of a pig, and then, you know, how they all turn out and how they look when they're all packaged up and done.
It is 5:02 p.m. and we have been working on slicing up all of this loin bacon, Arkansas bacon, bacon chops, and maybe even something else. But we have been working since 12 o'clock and it is now 5:02. We are finally wrapping things up, thank goodness. I'm so exhausted. I know Bryan is too. So I'll just show you guys where we are at. Right here is the scale and one of our last few packs of Arkansas bacon. Our slicer is a hot mess. Now, the cool thing about this slicer is that it comes apart and you can wash all of the parts yourself in the sink. I used to work at a meat market for almost 3 years, and one of the ways we cleaned our slicers was first off through wiping all of the food off of it. Then you use a hot washcloth and you spray it with vinegar and you just wipe it off, and it sanitizes everything in a way that is not toxic or harmful to you and your food slicer. This is our second table. It's about halfway full right now. It's predominantly Arkansas bacon, maybe bacon chops, and then I have been cubing up all of our extra butts and stuff like that for freezer meals. These ones we're probably going to cube up as well. Any of the extra fatty bits get trimmed off and fed to our dogs. It's very good for their fur coat. And I'm sure other stuff too. I know that fat helps absorb nutrients. Here is my bowl of butts. I have to refill it because I still have butts, bacon butts at the slicer. And then here is where I'm cubing it all. That is about the end of our video today. Bryan is making sure that our chickens are safe because there was a dog chasing after one of our egg hens here. Today, we just went over 5 things that you guys need to slice and package your own meat at home. Today, we shared a lot of our process, the slicing, the packaging, the whole shebang, except, you know, the 5 hours of processing. We probably summed that up into maybe like an 8 to 15 minute video, but hopefully you guys get the idea of everything. We have done some cool experiments here with our bacon chops that was inspired by Arkansas bacon. And from here on out, it's really just cubing up the end of the meat, vacuum sealing anything that we need, and cleaning up. So it has been a very busy day. We did plan on answering questions regarding our last smoking video. So it was freezing. Okay. In our last video, Bryan mentioned that he was going to be addressing the questions in this video. But honestly, we are just wiped out and exhausted, and we need to continue working. We still probably have about an hour of cleanup before it's all done. So we want to get going on that, and we will probably make a video dedicated to questions and answers regarding the smoking process. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for coming along with this process. We hope that it inspires you to process your own stuff, slice it up, get your hands dirty, and make an awesome product for you and your family. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you on the next video. Consider hanging around and subscribing if you do like these videos. Thank you guys. See you next time.